This happened many years ago, but the taste of revenge is still so sweet. My ex-husband, Lee, was horribly abusive, but we lived in a town where his family had much influence, so my charges were always dismissed. He put me in the hospital more than once, and it was always brushed off. I finally was able to escape and left him and moved to a town where no one knew him or his family. I felt so free and wanted no reminders of Lee and spent money I didn't have on a new coffee table. I bought all the other furniture used. The table was gorgeous and had a full glass top. It was delivered 2 weeks before these events and was a visual reminder of my new life. Lee had been threatening me over the phone that he wanted me to file for divorce because it cost money and I had refused. We shared no children or property, and frankly I was sick of him pushing me around. After 3 months I get a call from him saying his new girlfriend wanted to get married and he had filed for divorce. He wanted to come to my house for me to sign the papers. I agreed because I did want to be completely free of him and felt like I had won a small battle by making him pay the filing fee. Lee gets there and everything was fine for the first few minutes. However, when I started reading the divorce papers, he was trying to get me to pay spousal support. I got to that part and told him that my lawyer would have to look over the agreement before I signed, and he lost his mind. I collected snow globes at the time, and a good friend had given me a huge, beautiful one for Christmas. He grabbed that snow globe that was on my shelf and threw it into my coffee table, shattering it. I lost it. I literally couldn't even see. I was so furious, and I screamed at him that he was going to pay for that. He laughed and told me to prove it, that no one had cared when he smashed in my face, and no one would care about a table. Without even thinking, I balled up my fist and punched myself in the face. The look on his face was priceless and so confused, and then I punched myself again and started screaming for help. I hit myself one more time before he ran out, and by that time my neighbor had run over to my house after hearing my screams. My lips were bloody, my nose was bleeding, and I had blacked one eye. Lee ran from the house and the police were called. I told them he had done it, and the broken table was a perfect backdrop to the violence. They caught him before he got out of town. He was arrested for assault, and since he was on probation he would go back to jail if convicted to serve that sentence on top of the new one. I did end up dropping the charges, but let it hang until I got everything in the divorce that I wanted. It took about 6 months of him thinking he was going to prison. I had a coworker who was probably the worst I'll ever have to deal with. She was always late to relieve us from our registers, which would get us in trouble. She was supposed to clock in at 10:30, then be up to relieve us at 10:45, giving us 15 minutes to count our registers down and drop the money. If we clocked out after 11 PM, we got in trouble. She would consistently not come up until 10:55, but it was usually closer to 10:58. I had gotten to the point I could accurately count upwards of $30,000 in 2 minutes. The rough combined totals of myself and my 2 coworkers. Another would total checks, and the third would do card receipts. After being chewed out over this method, I finally told the manager about bad coworker because I thought she already knew about it. She checked the cameras to see that yes, we were right, that she was giving us no time to finish our duties, and told me to start pulling registers at 10:45. Didn't matter if she was up there or not anymore. So I did, and I got everyone else to do so as well. After 2 times of this, she was consistent in finally getting up there on time, but she was never happy about it. A few nights after this, we had a night where one of the girls had to leave early because her son was sick. Now, my shift had been getting in trouble for not stocking the shelves at the end of the night, so the remaining coworker and I decided we would do something about it and just went on overkill on stocking. He was an ex-Marine, and we didn't normally get along at all, but there were times where we did amazingly well together. This was one of those days. We started at 9 PM when the girl went home, and when it was time to pull registers, there were 2 items missing off the shelves that had been sold as bad coworker came up. I came in the next day, and male coworker was working with me again. Had been called in as the girl from the previous night had called out. He wasn't scheduled to work. As we're sitting there, getting ready to start, day shift manager calls us into the office and hands us write-ups. For male co-worker, it's a disciplinary notice as we work for a Native American tribe, and he has a CDIB, Certificate Degree of Indian Blood, card, but for me it's a notice of dismissal. Him being fired. I panic and begin to cry, wondering what I had done wrong. Male co-worker just steps forward, as if shielding me, and demands to know what these write-ups are for. You didn't stock last night. We came in, and the shelves were totally empty. Day shift manager told us. She even showed us pictures taken on her phone, and yes, the shelves were bare. Well, then that's bad co-worker's problem. We left that place spotless. We sold 1 carton of Marlboro Red and a can of dip as she came up. He told her. He threw his write-up away and made me leave the room with him and told me to clock in. So, day shift manager calls the store manager and gets authorization to pull up the cameras to show us, and authorization to have tribal police escort me from the building if I refuse to leave. However, nothing happens. 10 minutes pass. I haven't been allowed to go start my shift yet and male co-worker is sitting there with me, drinking an energy drink and looking pissed. Day shift manager comes out to hand me a register, apologizes to me for the misunderstanding, and tells me to head on up and to take first break if I want as further apology. I found out from my supervisor what had happened. Turns out that as soon as second shift management had left the building, bad co-worker immediately began pulling cartons of cigarettes off the shelves and put them in the bag. Not even just throwing them in a pile or something, she actually put them back in their proper places in the bag and left the shelves completely empty. When day shift came in, she told them how male co-worker and I had just left it like this for her, and how she felt it was so unfair to be forced to restock the shelves on her own. However, as she also had a CDIB card, she was just given the same kind of write-up he was. It's very difficult to fire someone with one of those cards. But, not impossible. Months passed after this incident, and around the time vaping began to become a thing, I had a coworker who bought one of those pens, one of the first vaping products to come out. I don't smoke, I don't vape, but I used her pen battery to demonstrate it to customers. I bought myself my own liquid chamber and some non-nicotine flavored liquid to demonstrate how to work it. Vaping coworker allowed me to use her battery and dig in her purse to find it if she didn't have it sitting out. One evening, after selling 10 pens in a row, I went into the back while calling up to vaping coworker that I was sitting her battery by her purse. Right as bad coworker came up, we pulled our registers and went to count down for the night. Vaping coworker realized she'd left her pen up by the door to the registers, but when she went to get it, it was gone. When she asked bad coworker what happened to it, all she said was "Op uses it all the time." I saw her pocket it. This started a huge fight between bad coworker and I, and night shift management had to come calm me down, because you can hear my yelling voice throughout the store. After I empty out my pockets to show I only had my liquid chamber on me, he promised to keep an eye out for the pen itself. I was late getting into work the next day because of pre-op stuff, but when I got it, my supervisor handed me a register and said, "Op, don't go into the office. Corporate and tribal police are watching the cameras. Just clock in." I'll admit, I smiled a little bit. Oh my god, it's bad coworker getting fired? What did she steal? She's a bad liar and tried to tell me it wasn't bad coworker. About 10 minutes into my shift, she came up to me and confirmed that I was right and wanted to know how I'd known. If corporate comes in to watch the cameras, it's always an employee issue. If tribal police come in to watch the cameras, it's always a major theft issue. So, 2 and 2 together is 4. Someone was caught stealing, and I really hope bad coworker is in trouble. Right as I said that, bad coworker stormed into the building and into the back to the office. When she finally came out, she said nothing to us, got back in her car, and sped out of the parking lot so fast she almost hit another car. Turns out that night shift manager made good on his promise. He thought I might have set it down and it accidentally rolled into the trash can or something, so he dug through the can next to my register. Only paper waste in this store. thank goodness, and sitting in the can were 2 unopened cartons of our most expensive cigarettes. And beneath them was the pen in question. He immediately sat himself in the office to watch the cameras in real time and found Bad Cow Walker bringing in the occasional carton of expensive cigarettes from the back and putting them in his trash can. She would empty it into the larger can and then take that bag out to the dumpsters. When she came back in, he went out and found several unopened cartons of cigarettes out there. Turns out, she'd been stealing like this since she got there. No one had ever caught her because she mostly worked by herself, since that part of the store was isolated and only needed one person to run it at night, and security made irregular visits, making it hard to time when they'd be there. She'd gotten busted thanks to trying to get me fired twice. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, a like and a comment would mean a lot in YouTube's world. Share with us if you would have done things differently, and don't forget to support the original authors with an upvote. Links are in the description. Peace out, and catch you tomorrow.